Imagine waking up tomorrow and deciding you're not going to eat for the entire day. No breakfast, no lunch, no dinner. Most people assume hunger would just keep getting worse. But something strange tends to happen around hour 24. Something most people never experience, because they never fast long enough to reach it. The strange part is that hunger doesn't keep getting worse. In many cases, it starts getting easier, your mind feels clearer, your energy becomes steadier, and your body begins switching into an entirely different operating mode. But to understand why that happens, you have to understand something about how the human body was designed. Because despite what modern eating habits might suggest, we were never meant to be eating all the time. For most of human history, food didn't arrive 3 times a day. There were no refrigerators, no convenience stores, no late-night snacks. Sometimes people ate a large meal, and sometimes they didn't eat for an entire day or more. That meant the human body had to develop a system that could function without a constant stream of calories. Instead of shutting down when food disappears, your body switches fuel systems. Think of it like a hybrid engine. When food is available, your body runs primarily on glucose, the sugar that comes from carbohydrates. But when food stops arriving, your body begins switching over to stored energy. And that's when the fascinating part begins, because the first 24 hours of a fast are really just your body preparing for that switch. In the first several hours after eating, everything still feels normal. Your body is running on the energy from your last meal. Glucose moves through your bloodstream. Insulin helps guide that glucose into your muscles and liver. Your body stores some of that energy for later, like filling up a battery. During this stage, hunger isn't really the problem, habit is. Because most people are used to eating at specific times, breakfast at 8, lunch at 12, dinner in the evening. When those times arrive, your brain expects food. Not because you need it, but because you always provide it. And that expectation creates the first wave of hunger. But something interesting happens if you ignore it. Hunger usually arrives in waves. It rises for a while, then fades again. Which means if you simply continue the fast, your body moves into the next stage. Somewhere around the 12-hour mark, your body starts running low on the glucose from your last meal. This is when your liver begins tapping into stored glycogen. Glycogen is essentially stored sugar. Think of it as your body's short-term energy reserve. Your liver slowly releases this stored fuel back into the bloodstream to keep everything running smoothly. Your brain continues getting the glucose it prefers. Your muscles still have energy. And from the outside, nothing looks very different. But internally, your body is already preparing for something else. Because glycogen doesn't last forever. Eventually, those reserves begin running low. And when they do, your body activates a much larger energy supply, your fat stores. Once insulin levels drop low enough, something important happens. Your fat cells unlock, they begin releasing fatty acids into the bloodstream. Those fats travel to the liver, where they're converted into molecules called ketones. Ketones are a powerful alternative fuel. In fact, your brain can run very efficiently on them. This is the point where many people begin noticing something surprising. Instead of feeling weaker, they sometimes feel more alert, more focused, more mentally clear. Scientists believe this may have been an evolutionary advantage, because if early humans became mentally foggy during a food shortage, they would struggle to hunt or find food. Instead, the brain becomes sharper. Your body is essentially saying, if food is scarce, we need to think clearly. But even with this shift, many people still expect hunger to keep increasing. Which brings us to the most interesting part of the fast. Quick favor, hit like and subscribe if you enjoy learning the psychology behind how the body works. Because something strange tends to happen around hour 24. For many people, the first day of fasting feels like a challenge. Your body is adjusting, your routine is different, and psychologically you're aware that you haven't eaten. But somewhere around hour 24, a surprising shift often occurs. Hunger doesn't keep climbing, it levels out, sometimes it even fades. People often describe this moment as oddly calm. The intense urge to eat that existed earlier in the fast becomes quieter, and the reason for that has everything to do with how your brain responds to energy. By this point, your body has fully transitioned into fat-burning mode. Ketones are circulating in your bloodstream. Your brain has accepted them as fuel, and because fat stores contain far more energy than glycogen, your body is no longer worried about running out of fuel. You've moved past the point of scarcity. Now you're running on long-term reserves. And when the brain realizes there's plenty of energy available, hunger signals often decrease. But there's another process beginning around this same time, one that has fascinated scientists for years. Around 24 hours into a fast, your body begins activating a process known as autophagy. Autophagy is often described as cellular recycling. Inside your cells are proteins, structures, and components that slowly become damaged over time. Autophagy allows the body to break down those old or dysfunctional pieces and reuse the raw materials. Imagine cleaning out a cluttered storage room. Broken equipment gets removed, useful materials are recycled, and the system runs more efficiently afterward. This process doesn't only happen during fasting, but fasting appears to increase it significantly. In other words, while you're not eating, your body may be focusing on repair, which explains why some people report feeling surprisingly good during longer fasts. Their bodies are not shutting down. they're reorganizing. By the time a fast reaches roughly 30 hours, several hormone changes become noticeable. Growth hormone increases. This hormone helps preserve muscle and supports tissue repair. Insulin levels remain very low, which improves your body's sensitivity to carbohydrates when you eventually eat again. Fat burning continues steadily. Your body has now fully accepted that stored energy is the primary fuel source. Interestingly, many people report a sense of mental calm during this stage. Not extreme excitement, not fatigue, just a steady, focused kind of energy. The brain is now running significantly on ketones, which provide a very stable fuel supply. Unlike glucose spikes and crashes, ketones tend to produce a smoother energy curve, which may explain the mental clarity some fasters describe, but eventually the fast reaches its final stage, hour 36. When people hear the phrase 36-hour fast, they often imagine the body struggling to survive, but by this point, your body is not panicking. It's adapting. Your metabolism is still active. Your brain is functioning. Your organs are working together using stored energy. This is the system humans relied on for thousands of years, periods of eating, followed by periods of fasting. The modern world has simply removed those gaps. Food is now available everywhere, all the time, which means many people never experience this metabolic shift. They stay in a constant cycle of eating and digesting, never giving their bodies a chance to switch fuel systems. A longer fast changes that rhythm. It forces the body to use the energy it already has. And once you experience that shift, something interesting happens psychologically. You realize hunger is not always an emergency. Sometimes it's just a signal that passes, and when you stop reacting to every signal immediately, your relationship with food can change, because you begin to understand something important. Your body is far more adaptable than most people realize. Perhaps the most powerful part of a longer fast isn't physical, it's psychological. Most people spend their entire lives believing they must eat frequently to function. They feel nervous if they miss a meal, uncomfortable if they go too long without food. But experiencing a longer fast challenges that belief. You realize your body can operate for extended periods without constant fuel, that hunger comes and goes, that energy can remain stable, and that your brain doesn't collapse without snacks every few hours. For many people, this realization changes the way they think about food entirely. Food stops feeling like an urgent need every few hours. Instead, it becomes a choice. And that shift in perception can be surprisingly empowering. A 36-hour fast might sound intense at first, but what's happening inside your body during that time is not chaos, it's coordination. Your metabolism shifts fuel sources, your hormones adapt, your cells begin repair processes, and your brain transitions to a different kind of energy. But perhaps the strangest moment of all is that turning point around hour 24. The moment when hunger doesn't keep getting stronger, it begins getting quieter, not because your body is shutting down, but because it has successfully switched into another mode. A mode humans evolved to use long before modern eating schedules existed. And once you understand that system, you start seeing hunger differently. Not as something that always needs immediate action, but as a signal your body knows exactly how to handle. Which raises an interesting question. If your body can adapt this well to a single day without food, what else might it be capable of when you give it the chance?